What's up, guys? Welcome back for another one. We're back in the lab, ready to tackle the next big project we have going on. And that is to put some inverted forks on our 22 Street Bob right here. And to give you a little backstory, I purchased from a close friend of mine their old inverted forks, their old OEM Harley inverted forks off of a 22 Low Rider S. So the hope is that a lot of this stuff is transferable. So let me show you what I've got to work with, and then we'll jump right into how to do this. All right, so here you see the OEM top triple tree and bottom triple tree with the stem included. And we have the axle here and the two inverted forks. So what I will be using is, I'm not going to use this triple tree. It's going to be exposed on my bike, and I wanted something a little nicer looking as far as what you can see through the bars and stuff like that. So I'll show you what I picked for that. But so we will be using this and the legs, possibly the axle, and we'll see what else we need. So as far as installation tools is concerned, you probably need a few things depending on how you're going to tackle this. If you're going to change the races out, which they say you should, you're going to need a race remover. So I got this one off Amazon, and when we get to that part, I'll show you how this is used. And then once you swap the races out, you have this tool here to press the races back in place. And for all these tools here and everything else I use, I will leave a description and a link down below. As far as installing the bearing, so the lower bearing is going to need to be replaced. I'm not even going to take it off the Street Bob lower triple tree. I've got a new OEM Harley bearing, so I need to put that on the lower triple tree here. So this is the tool that will allow me to press it into place. Along with that, of course, your torque wrench, electrical wrench. I've got my little spider web here to hold the brake caliper and stuff off when I take everything apart, and then whatever ratchet attachments that I need. So far I believe this is going to be most of what I need and what I'm working with here. Just looking at the bike, so there are a couple of concerns. And we're just going to address that as we go. I do have the larger brake rotor kit here. I do have the adapter here from OG Moto. The website says it's for both the Street Bob and the Low Rider S, so I think I'm okay now, but it is in the back of my mind. And the rest is, well, the Low Rider S had ABS, mine does not, so I guess my only biggest concern is truly the spacers. Can I use the stock spacers, or do I got to get something different? So when we get there, we'll find out. But let me show you the stuff that I'm going to be putting on. So these are the dust covers for the bearings, upper and lower bearings. And there's the Harley part number if you're interested. We also got the upper and lower bearings. And if you're interested in the part number for that, there it is. So one's for the upper tree, one's for the lower. As far as on the new inverted forks, I can't use the Street Bob fender, so I went to OG Moto. I got their carbon fiber Low Rider S ST fairing for the inverted forks, and these guards as well for the front of the forks. I can tell you that this carbon fiber, it looks like it's reinforced with fiberglass probably. It's pretty stiff, it feels pretty strong, but just so you know, this is a little different than some of the raw pre-preg carbon fiber pieces that I have on the motorcycle so far. So along with that, I did go back to the well here with OG Moto. I'm very happy with the top triple tree that I have on my Road King. So I went back to them again, and I got the soft tail top triple tree. And look at that. That just looks so much nicer than the stock triple tree on the Low Rider S. And I've got these offsets here, so this brings it back 1 inch. You have to buy these separately. It brings the risers back. It does come with a 2-inch pullback. So I just got these just in case. I think I'm gonna go with these. I don't think I need the risers on my Street Bob 2 inches closer than what they are now. But let's take a look at the triple trees to compare the stock from the OG Moto. And you can see how much beefier that looks. So much nicer. You don't have these exposed parts here. I think this is for the little visor thing that comes on the Low Rider. But this is just a much nicer, cleaner look. And I think it looks, or it's going to look great with my OG Moto 8.5 risers, balanced off my Thrash and Supply ST bracket. I went with black because I didn't want to overdo the orange, especially with the top triple tree being so close to the bracket to have this color close to this color. So I went with black. I think it's a nice touch, not overdoing it. And that's just my thought process on that. And as for you guys who are always interested in how much stuff weighs, let's see what the OEM triple tree, top triple tree weighs versus the OG Moto. All right, so I got a little scale here zeroed out. Let's start with the stock upper tree, 3.3 pounds, 2 ounces. And let's see the billet one from OG Moto. 2 pounds, 14 ounces, so almost a full pound lighter. And if we want to be exact and throw those little pieces in there, might as well do it right. We'll add these 2 pieces. So with these 2 pieces, it's slightly over the 3 pound, 2 ounce that the OEM is, so a full ounce heavier. Not a big deal to me. I'm not really concerned with weight savings on my Street Bob, but for those of you who are curious as to the weight difference, there you have it. All right, so what's my plan of attack? Well, I've got to remove the brake caliper, get that out of the way. Obviously remove the front wheel and the front fender. And then before I take the risers off, I will have to unplug all the wires that are running up through the wires, remove the top tree, pull the forks out, and then begin the process with the new fork. So that's what we're gonna do. Let's jump into it and we'll talk at the next step. All right, so here's the update real quick. I've got the wheel and the fender off. Now, basically go in here and start disconnecting everything that goes up to the bars. So that's the fun part. Up next, we'll get that going and then we'll be able to remove the top triple clamp here. So just trace the wires, follow where they go, unplug them. We'll loosen this bolt on both sides. This whole top piece should come off, and then we should be able to remove the bottom tree and the forks. All right, so quick update. All my cables are disconnected from this little box here. I do have to take the 2 sides off on either side because the clutch cable and the brake line master cylinder won't be coming with the risers when I swap them out. So we'll take them off, we'll put them aside over here, I'll hang them somewhere, and then we'll start working on the triple tree here. Sorry I'm not getting a lot of footage of me taking this apart. There's not a lot of room in here. Honestly, I wish this was a lot easier to remove and just kind of access everything, but that's like a whole project in itself, trying to take it off and put it back together. So once I get to a part that I can share what I'm doing, I'll record that as well. All right, so again, I've got both clutch and brake levers off, so just the bars remain. My wires are loose. Before I can loosen up this top triple tree, I also have to make sure that below here that I take this off here, because the bottom tree is coming off too, and this goes to the front brake. So I got to take that off, put it aside, and then the rest should just be taking the top tree off, which should allow me to take the risers and the top tree out of the way, and then work on removing the legs in the lower triple tree. So what I'm doing now, I'm loosening up the bolts that hold the forks onto the triple tree and sliding the forks out of the way so I can interact with just the triple tree itself. All right, and there you have it. I got the whole front end off. Gonna pull the bearings out, inspect the races, see if they need to be replaced. If they do, we'll press the new ones in, press the bearing on the new bottom triple tree, and start putting it back together. All right, and I've got the bearings out. They are right here. They actually don't look that bad. Everything's actually really clean. This is a 22. But down the tube and everything, the race looks good to me, both top and bottom. So for now, I'm just going to leave the existing races in there. So what we need to do is begin with the new lower tree. Get the bearing on here, grease it up, all that good stuff, and start putting it back together. I do notice that there is a few differences right away. First off is the axle length. This is the axle length of the Low Rider S, and that is the axle length of the Street Bob. So the Low Rider S axle is longer, which makes sense because when I put the lower trees next to each other, you can see how much wider the Low Rider S triple trees are compared to the Street Bob. So as far as differences, that's the most noticeable one. I'm sure we'll pick up on some more as we're putting this all back together. So what I'm doing now is removing the risers from the old triple tree. This way I can install the risers to the new one and put it all on as a single unit. All right, and just to show you the way this goes, and I've done this video when I did the Road King as well, so if you got a touring bike and you want to see the top tree for the touring bikes, go check out that video. So you get these plates and they have offsets in there. The box comes with standard and 2-inch pullback. I bought this 1-inch pullback separately, and you get 4 plates, and one goes on the top and one goes on the bottom. If you look, there's a beveled side that's going to go down toward the tree, and that's how you set that. Obviously you're going to use your bushings and stuff in between. Because I'm reusing the same riser bolts and bushings, I just got this little thread chaser here. Use this to clean off the previous thread locker, and then I'll just put a little dab of blue Loctite on both, tighten it down, I'll worry about torquing it down while it's on the bike. Right now, I just kind of want to mock everything up here. So once we do that, I'll be able to attach the upper and lower triple tree together, and of course do the lower tree bearing before that. So we get through here and we'll start putting it back together. Alright, so we're at the part where we need to press the new bearing into the lower triple tree. We've got a couple of things here. So when you buy the bearings, it does come with the races, but like I said, these races look brand new, so I'm not going to use new races. You do have to, or you should buy the dust covers. They come separate, and that simply slides over. There is a little ridge here. That's going to go up, and that's where the bearing seats. So that goes on like that. You also need a way to press it or drive it into the triple tree. So what I have here is the Motion Pro tool, and basically this tool can remove an old bearing and can also be used to pound down on seating a new bearing as well. So we've got that to seat the new bearing. We've got the bearings, and I've got some this is number 2 polyurea bearing grease. So I'm going to be using this to grease the bearings. You want to make sure you really work the bearings in to where you start to see the grease coming in out of here. So you take a glob of grease on your hand, and you're just going to keep rubbing it and working it in and working it in until it's all greased down. Seat the bearing, and we can start reassembling the triple trees. So I've got my hammer to drive down the bearing. If you're asking what this block of wood is for, they say it's good to put the lower triple tree on a block of wood so you don't actually knock out this stem here. So we're going to put that right there, and that allows that stem to have something to brace against as you're banging it with the hammer. And you hear how that sound changed to that solid. Alright, so I greased the upper bearing, set it in there, and put the dust cover over it already. Now comes the fun part. This is where you really could use some help, because what I need to do is hold this triple tree in here and get the top tree on and tighten it down with 2 hands. And on the forks, you can feel where it's smooth and then it goes to this texture, and then in the middle it's smooth again, and then it goes to this texture. That smooth spot is where you can clamp these down. So I'm just gonna slide it in there and just tighten it a little bit. All right, and here we go. We got the wheel on, but of course, the wheel is too small. You can see the size of the gap on the axle. This is the Low Rider S axle. On both sides, I actually moved this over to be in line with the caliper, and you can see how off it is. But I have a solution. I'm going to go pick it up in a few days, and we'll be able to knock this out. But in the meantime, I just wanted to show you the forks. The other morning I did put this fork on the wrong side, so I had to take it off, swap it around. So if you're doing this, just remember, you know, these inserts here go on the outside. Your axle lock is on this side of the motorcycle. But I think it looks badass. Definitely different. There's the triple tree. Everything torqued down to spec, got the bars and stuff back on. So the wheel solution's coming in a few days. In the meantime, I wanted to talk about the original Garage Moto front fender. It's a pretty clean setup. Got the fender here. Put these guys on with these little brackets, a little bit of Loctite, and allow you to tighten it to the forks and then adjust the height based on where you need it. So I'll put that together real quick. We'll just mock it up and throw it on the bike so we can see what it looks like. All right, so at the fender, you got the fender itself, and you got these side brackets here. You're just gonna put this behind the side bracket, line it up with your little bracket that these bolts go into. Make sure you use a little blue Loctite. All right, so there you have it. I have it all the way at the bottom, and then we'll adjust it once I attach it. Let's go over to the bike because I want to see what this looks like. All right, you can see I got the fender mocked up, just on there, fitted. We're gonna have to swap this front wheel, so we're gonna do that on part 2 of this video. But all in all, I think it looks great. I can't wait to get this thing on the road, and I know the first thing I'm gonna do when I put the wheel on is start figuring out dual disc. So stay tuned for that. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Stay safe out there. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.